Welcome to the Biz Coach Show. In every episode, we share information and advice for small business owners, small business leaders, startups, and entrepreneurs preparing to launch their business. Our mission is to give entrepreneurs the edge they need to succeed. If you're in need of business coaching, head over to mybizcoaches.co and book your free coaching consultation today. The Biz Coach Show is presented by Eric Whitmoyer, the owner of My Biz Coaches, a business coach, serial entrepreneur, author, and speaker, as well as David Macon, a certified professional in talent development, growth expert, writer, and small business strategist. Well, Eric, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, David. And yourself?
I'm doing really good. Yeah, a little under the weather, so hopefully we can get through this without me coughing too much. But yeah, otherwise doing great, man. Good to be with you.
Keep those cough drops nearby.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, whether you're watching or listening. And if you haven't been catching up on the last couple of episodes, we're working through a series of 8 topics, which are inspired by a newsletter that Eric puts out every week. There's actually 2 of them, the Entrepreneur's Edge and the Biz Coach Notes. So if you don't already subscribe to those, definitely check them out. A lot of good, helpful information. And the topics are on 8 trends to be aware of in 2024. So today we're actually talking about e-commerce. And Eric, I'm kind of curious why you chose e-commerce as something for people to kind of watch out for or be tuned into heading into the new year.
Yeah, well, I mean, you and I have our background in retail. We definitely saw the transition. You know, anybody who's been paying attention over the last 10 years, if you paid attention to any news, I'm going to say it was I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago was the first year that e-commerce sales exceeded retail sales in the fourth quarter in the holiday season, I should say specifically. And that was pretty significant, right? I mean, it was, you know, obviously led by Amazon, and now Walmart's become a big component of that as well. But so there's no hidden, you know, everybody knows that everything's going online, right? I mean, I actually should have done the research. I'd love to know how many Prime subscriptions Amazon has, right? How many billions of millions of it. Right. But anyway, my point was the landscape continues to change dramatically. I mean, if 2008, the debacle that we had in 2008, the economic challenges, right, the reshuffling that we went through from 8, and then we'll draw the line in the sand at 8 and say 9, 10, 11, 12, that 4-year span of time, maybe 13. Things dramatically companies got more effective at being lean. There was a lot of transition from an employment perspective. People were like, you know, we can drive sales to our online platform. We don't need retail stores. So you started seeing a lot of that. Saw a lot of retailers go away. And what's happening now is that everybody wants to do their transactions online. I'm not going to say nobody wants to go into a store because there's still that shopping experience depending on the products, but the vast majority of client solutions, they want to be able to resolve online with reduced human interaction, in some cases, reduced drag. You know, I want to be able to get it and order it and have it the next day. You know, there's a lot of factors there. They're willing to not walk out of the store today with it if they can have it tomorrow, assuming they don't have to leave their house, right? I mean, and COVID certainly brought this on and exacerbated this. And I think that now that the COVID phenomena has played itself out, a lot of companies have had to adjust and accordingly have had to make the changes in their business and now become more of an e-tailer, you know, certainly embracing the e-commerce component. And to really kind of bring it full circle, it's not just retail now. It's not just consumable goods. It is your services. People want to be able to buy what they want to buy online, and they don't want to have to go through the different hurdles. No, I say nobody. The vast majority of people do not want to have to make a phone call. You know, I've got a client that when I started working with them, they didn't have a presence online. Their sales were struggling. And their process was go on my website, look at my product mix, and then call me. And they couldn't figure out why that wasn't converting. And I'm like, well, that's probably because if I'm online and I'm looking on your website and I'm seeing the products.
Yeah. Why can't I just buy it or book it, right? Yeah.
I just want to click on it and buy it, right? I don't want to have to, you know, and they don't offer the service solution, so they have to coordinate that with somebody. But, you know, there's a lot of people, and we're not talking, this is a B2B company. This isn't a retailer, right? This is a B2B company, but the same thing is we went through this conversation. I said, who are the people that are working in the purchasing departments of these companies that would be buying these products today? Right? You're trying to sell in hundreds of units or whatever, thousands of units. Who are the people that are working as a purchaser? That's an entry level role or a secondary role, right? These are 20 and 30-year-old younger people, the millennials, right? They're Gen Zs even in some cases. The reality is, how do they do all their purchasing? They don't pick up the phone and call somebody. If anything, at best, maybe you get them to send a text message. They don't even want to use email in many cases.
Yeah.
So, the idea that I can just go to the website, pick what I want, put it in my cart, hit purchase, and complete my transaction. That's what everybody wants. And I don't care if you're a landscaper. I want to be able to see what I want to see and get what I want to get and get it in it, easily and quickly. There's a lot of sites out there today that don't have good pictures, that don't have good client experience type pictures where you can see before and afters or whatever the case may be, so that people can make a good educated decision on purchase. So they go to the next website.
Yeah.
So I think that's, that has come to a point now where there aren't too many. We're making substantial enhancements to our website because we recognize that this is what people want.
Yeah. Well, as you were talking about that, Eric, I think, I was coming from the perspective of, a retailer or maybe somebody that has a showroom space or, something like that. But as you're kind of walking through that, it sounds like you're saying that regardless of what business you operate or what industry you're in, there's some form of e-commerce or online experience you need to be thinking about. So if somebody's, maybe listening to this or watching this and they think, oh, that's not really for me, that doesn't really fit my business type, what would you say to that?
It's every business type. Yeah. It's not even, I mean, it's the more that we dig into this, the more that we engage. I mean, in my article, I talked extensively about, having a digital strategy. I mean, as a matter of fact, I was working with a couple of different marketing groups as we vet marketing clients or marketing companies to introduce to our clients. I literally had one challenge me and say, look, having social media presence, which is a whole nother conversation, which we'll touch on, but having a social media presence is not having a social media presence is like not having a website in 2005.
I
right?
totally agree.
And now it's not even having a social media presence. If I'm on social media and I see something that piques my interest, I need to be able to click from that social media, picture, video, GIF, whatever you got, whatever you're putting out there. I need to be able to click on that and take me right to where I can buy something.
Right. Yep.
Right. So your calls to action, your engagement services, whatever it is schedule my appointment, whatever it is that you're trying to convey with your social media, you need to be tied directly to that and be able to create a sales opportunity off of that. Not that you're selling in every engagement, so don't misunderstand. I'm just saying you need to be able to.
Yeah.
Client needs to be able to look at that, see what they see, be enticed, and be like, okay, click, I want to go there. And that even includes, what we were seeing 60, 70% in many cases, people are engaging on our websites through the phone.
Yeah.
Right. So even having your phone number be a hyperlink on your site or on your landing page or whatever it is, so that somebody can just click on that and make the phone call. So if they are willing to make a phone call, it's got to be so simple that I literally just click the hyperlink so that it immediately makes the phone call through my app.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I'm seeing now, you've probably seen this too, is you'll Google a business and now there's a chat with us option that'll pop up. So if you're a business, that's a super easy integration, claim your business profile, which hopefully you've done. If not, do that. And then there's, you can set up that chat feature and now you can have people, I don't want to call, like that's a lot of work, or, maybe you don't have a full website set up, at least enable that while you figure out the other, e-commerce or web portion of your business. And it's a really easy way for people to connect that, might otherwise not, want to make that phone call.
Yeah. And so you said, I don't think it's for me. I'm thinking, let's go blue collar trades.
Yeah.
HVAC, plumber, any of those types of solutions. If they're busy with a client, they're typically not answering the phone. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we talked about speed of service, right?
Yeah.
And if I can't answer the phone, what does the client do? If they're going through some list of numbers to call, or if they're going through the website, Google or whatever, and they're finding who they want to engage for a service. And as they go through it and they're like, he didn't answer, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to the next one on the list. And as soon as somebody responds, now I'm going to engage. But if I
Right.
go to your
Yep.
website and I can schedule an appointment to make a call so that I know you're going to call me back, that'll suffice for that time frame, as long as it's within a reasonable amount of time, which quite honestly is no more than 4 hours and realistically closer to 1 hour or two.
Yeah.
Right, because I want that immediate engagement. So it's that speed of service. The only way you can really do that is through the technology and leveraging the different automations that you can create. So whether it's a text back, or even a callback solution or something like that, schedule an appointment. All these service-based solutions where these people can't always answer the phone right away. This is why they have to have an e-commerce platform. And quite honestly, if I know I need service, I should just be able to go to your website and schedule when I'd like to have my estimate.
Right.
Somebody's going to,
Totally.
you should have your calendar set up so you know when you do estimates or who does estimates or whatever, and I can go and do that all electronically. There shouldn't have to require any human interaction, which, by the way, if you're struggling finding people, what a great way to offset that by automating a lot of these solutions that you typically have somebody answering the phone to do anyway.
Yeah. Well, and the reality is setting something like that. I mean, you've done it takes an hour, maybe, and
Oh, yeah.
then you've got it set up for your business for perpetuity, right? Which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Not hard.
exactly.
It doesn't take long.
Yep.
Well, you mentioned something else, which was social. And it's funny. I was watching a reel the other day, and do you remember the red cups that like every restaurant had? They're like indestructible red soda cups that you'd see in the 80s and 90s, just
At the
ubiquitous
banquet
everywhere.
restaurants that you used to work
Yeah,
at.
yeah, exactly. So it was the company that makes those red cups talking about why they lasted and the plastic. And I got to think, I'm like, man, if a cup plastic manufacturing company has a viral social video, then everybody should be doing social, right?
Wow, that's
That's
a
like
great.
the last thing that I would think of is plastics manufacturing having a viral reel, but people are remixing it and it's popping up everywhere. And I'm thinking, man, it's just a little bit of creativity, a little bit of time, and now you're promoting your product in a whole new way to a whole new generation. So I thought it was really interesting. So as we're kind of talking about this, that came to mind as it's important to get social. It's important to have a social presence. But even beyond that, some of the things that I know really well, which are landing pages and funnels. So maybe talk to us a bit about how that plays into this e-commerce strategy.
Yeah, and that's actually a piece that I think a lot of people don't. It's like, oh, I've got a website. I'm like, a website's like that. That's okay. So that if if the website was 2005, a landing page is 2010, 12, maybe
Right.
something. And then the funnel is the extension from that. I mean, whenever Russell Brunson came out with ClickFunnels, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's been at least about 10 years or so. But the advantage of a landing page, your own standing landing page. So here's the problem that people don't understand, and I have to say it's people that are close to my age and older. Generally, they just don't grasp this always. They like, well, we send people to the website. Well, the problem with sending somebody to the website is they get to the website and there's too many things to do.
Yep.
So you have no way to track whether or not your advertising is actually working other than to see that you got hits on the website, right? But if they can click on 12 different things on the website, you got 4 tabs or 5 tabs across the top. You got a couple, sign up for your newsletter, sign up for this, sign up for that, sign up for that, whatever different options that you have, including going to the bottom of the page and going to your, click on your Google link to find out where your address is or whatever. Well, if you got a dozen different things to do, you have no idea whether or not the marketing that you're paying for to drive people to your website, or if it's even social media, how are people coming off of your TikTok or your Instagram or LinkedIn and landing on your website, and that you're not converting anything. You have no way to measure that and determine whether or not you're getting the results you want.
Right.
So the only way you can do that is to funnel them to a single, and I say funnel, I don't mean a sales funnel, but you want to channel them into a single landing page where you really only have one option, which is either buy or not buy. At least go from this page to the next page, which, it's a capture page where you can get information or whatever the case may be. And this is where we talk about, using, the free solutions. We call them
like a lead magnet.
Yes, thank you. A lead magnet. But that, what is it going to get that engages me to get me more information? So, if you were one of those tradespeople we were talking about, it could be, why turf is such a great solution for your backyard, or why, it's like if you're a pest control company, it's why it's so important to manage your pest issues or whatever. Point being is that you want to use something that's going to drive people in to capture their attention, keep them in that focus, and then literally lead them to a decision, purchase point decision.
Yeah.
And the only way you can really do that is through a designated landing page, because if you send them to the website, you'll lose them on the site. They'll get distracted by all the different options, and you won't know if your marketing's working. In addition to that, when you have them go to a landing page with a specific focus and they see something they're interested in, they decide they want that, then you can create a sales funnel that progresses them through a series of decisions you might make. So for instance, you're selling for makeup, right? And you go there to buy the lipstick, and then you see the rouge, and you see the blush, and you see the eyeliner, and for just $15 more, add this today. For just $10 more, add this today. And all of a sudden you take your average transaction from the $8 lipstick to it's a $40 transaction now. Yeah. And so you increase the transaction amount, you build a stickiness with your client base. Anyway, the point is that that sales funnel now creates an opportunity for you. So again, going back to the trade services or even professional services, they could schedule an appointment to talk to you about, let's say you're a law firm and you do estate planning. Well, you schedule a call to do estate planning. So when they schedule the call, you're capturing name, phone number, email address, right?
Right. Yep.
So that now you've got a legitimate lead. It's not a sale, but it's a legitimate lead that was generated without human interaction. Now you could have a series of questions in that process. Then the funnel could be, how many homes do you own? Do you own a business? And what you're doing is you're actually predetermining what that will look like. And you could give them a projected, may or may not make sense, but you could give them an idea of what that might cost so they can actually make a better educated decision.
Yeah.
Right.
Your time, right? You didn't even have to interact with them.
Right. Now you get the information immediately.
Yeah. And you can assess the value of that lead, right? And prioritize it too.
Totally. Yeah. And if you're using any kind of CRM, you can now associate a dollar value with that. So you know how important that lead is. Plus you can have it at the very end. Is this something you're looking to do in the next couple of weeks? Is this something you need to do today? Or is this something you're thinking about doing next year? And literally the people will answer it, and it'll help you determine whether or not that's a hot lead or if the, warmer lead that we'll follow up with next week.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. Well, yeah, a lot of great stuff, Eric. Anything else that you would call attention to as we focus on e-commerce heading into 2024?
Yeah. So, just to go back to the social piece, the one thing that I mentioned is that from the social platform, whatever platform you're using or whichever ones you're using, there's things like a link tree, which is like a mini microsite, or Buffer is one that we use. And it allows you to have different calls to action, but it allows you to take somebody from. So if your focus is to drive to a transaction, that's one thing. But if you have more of an approach to increase your subscribership, you have an approach to increase your engagement on a newsletter or whatever, so, sign up for that. You can drive people to that and actually have those call to actions in that function. So it's a microsite or a mini landing page that you can kind of create with social media. And they even have stores now. That was they have actual stores that are created as microsites that you can use just for social media. You don't even have to have a website anymore. Not a traditional website. You can literally have your store housed and use this social media platform as it just takes them right to the store to buy the products that you're promoting.
Yeah, which is super easy setup, right? I mean, again, you're talking calendar, link tree, cart in less than half a day, right? And now you've got a little mini e-com suite set up, ready to roll, which is pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah, a couple other things. You've got a global reach now. I mean, it's funny as we've been engaging in the last year. We've been engaged with a number of people in Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and people are reaching out. As a matter of fact, even this morning, I literally got an offer to present on a webinar to a group in Africa. That's actually a new hotbed that rivals India and the Philippines for capitalism. They're trying to play a role, and they have low cost labor. So there's a lot of solutions for virtual assistants out of Africa, and there's different countries there where it makes a lot of sense. But they're reaching out to people like myself saying, "Hey, we'd love you to present. We've seen your talks about being an entrepreneur and things like that. We're interested in having you engage with us." So could we have a product solution or an offer for those individuals that are from those other countries, right? So having the ability to do that, it's you can only do that with e-commerce, right? I can do it. I think the other part of it is I can do it without having to use a whole invoicing solution, adding extra steps to that sales process. I can dramatically reduce the sales process if the marketing is leading people to that path and they're coming to me saying, yeah, I'm ready to do this.
Nice. Yeah.
But so I'm just going through, there's customer expectations, data-driven decisions. I kind of glossed over that, but that's a big piece of this. By digitizing these engagement and automating through the different platforms, you're now having your clients, by them purchasing through the systems, you now have data, right? You can go back and you can look and say, okay, well, we had 300 people that clicked on a link on a social media post that we did. And of the 300 people that clicked on it, that went to a landing page, and now 50 of them engaged with us. So it's 16.7% of those people it actually went to the next step, went so far as to go here, actually look at, and then of that, 50% of those people purchased.
It's powerful.
So we had 25 sales off of that post, right?
Yeah.
So now I have legitimate data that I can look at and say, well, if I got 300 on that social media, what if I did something where I boosted it, right? I'm not a big fan of boost necessarily, but if I did something that drove more traffic to that same landing page, what would that look like? Right. And would that give me even better results, just volume wise, right? Because now I have some numbers and metrics to work off of. So now I'm making better data driven decisions when I'm driving it through e-commerce. If I'm not, who's going to remember? Hey, did you do, David? You remember this, right? How did you hear about us? Yeah. Oh, you saw the ad in the local intelligencer in a journal or whatever. Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, that's where you saw it? Yeah, I think that's it. No, maybe it was the other newspaper. It's like,
yeah.
But with data-driven decisions, you get the data. You can actually, data-driven transaction. Sorry, you can actually take that data and actually make better decisions about where you want to advertise, where your clients are. Yeah, there's a ton of different things that come from that. So by doing that, that's another big piece. A lot of, going back to your point about whether or not this is for me, take those trade service people. They advertise in magazines all the time.
Yeah.
In Arizona, it's crazy. So you got the home magazine, you got this magazine, you got that magazine, all these different solutions where they redo the surface around your pool. They put in waterfalls. They put turf in, put pavers in, whatever it is that they're doing, right? We do a lot of that stuff in our yards here in Arizona. And they're paying for this magazine. They don't know how many actual leads are coming from the magazine. Right. But if you had a specific landing page that people went to by scanning a QR code in the magazine, going directly to a landing page, I would know I wouldn't just know that it came from the magazine. I would know what issue it came from.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I would know which month was the best month, right? As far as which getting me the most results. Which is relevant in a place like Arizona, where we have so many snowbirds, people that come here from other states and live here half the year, right? So I would know, okay, I want to be in these issues because these are the issues that I get the best results from.
Right. Yeah.
So again, data-driven decisions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
The last thing I'd say there, and I think this is really important to address, is the idea that you have the technological trends. Things are continuing to change. If you don't get on board with an e-commerce platform, when you do, you're going to have that much more work to do. The longer you wait, the more things you're going to have to incorporate. And it sounds like, to your point, it's actually pretty easy to set a few of these things up the first time. And all the different things we're talking about won't relate to every business, but every business should have an e-commerce platform where they can actually do transactions electronically. The key is to recognize that if you do it now, when the new advancements in technology come out, you can adapt to it, right? You can adjust to it, and it's not a huge change in your business model. Now it's just a tweak to the business model.
Yeah.
The longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to make that transition. And that's what we find with a lot of companies that have been around 10, 15 years that haven't really been using an e-commerce platform. That's why they struggle with how does this even make sense for me? Right? Because they got along with it without it for so long that why would they need it now?
Yeah. No, makes a lot of sense. Well, good tips and advice. And again, this is just one of many things to watch for in 2024. So if you are looking for, I think we said three more articles coming out right on this one. We've
3 more,
covered
correct.
five,
Yep.
three more to go.
Yeah,
So make sure you
next week
oh,
is cybersecurity.
cybersecurity. There you go. Okay, so make sure you guys subscribe to that one. You can just scan the QR code and sign up for the newsletter on LinkedIn. Before we go, Eric, anything new at MyBiz Coaches that you want to talk about? I think you've got an event coming up, so I don't know if you want to share a bit about that.
Yes, sir. So we have a multi-hour workshop that we're offering for free to all of our followers, subscribers, existing clients, whatever the case may be, somebody who wants to be considered being a client. We're offering it. It's going to be a little, probably over 2 hours. I want to put a timeline on it, but it's going to be pretty significant give. But it is all about preparing your business for 2024 strategically, and specifically leveraging the 8 components of the newsletter chain that I've been writing over the last 8 weeks. So yeah, it's literally taking these things and applying them to your business and saying, okay, here's 2 or 3 things that you can do to implement these into your business strategy for 2024. So it's a active workshop. You'll be actually doing some tactical things, preparing for your business, putting your business strategy together. Consider it goal setting for your business, basically, right?
Awesome.
And then coming out of it with a plan on not only how to execute it, but more specifically how to challenge yourself to stay accountable and make sure that you're getting the efficiency of the efforts of getting that implemented and getting the results from it. Even helping you prioritize what are the ones that will probably make the most sense for you. Like, you're not going to be able to do 8 new things next year, but
Right.
if you can do 1 or 2, they're going to give you some significant impact. Those are the ones we want to focus on, at least first, right? And then once you get those dialed in, we can look at some of the other options. But we'll walk you through that entire process. That's going to be on Friday, December 8th. It'll be 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Mountain, which would then be 1 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, so we're excited to launch that and put that out there. It's got some great things to offer the clients and some awesome giveaways that we'll be doing as well.
Cool. Awesome. Love it. Well, and if you can't wait for December 8th, you can head over to mybizcoaches.co and you can book a no-cost free consultation with Eric or one of his coaches. They'd love to talk to you about these 8 things and how it applies to your business. And Eric, you did mention goal setting, so we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about your book, Success with Goals. You can get your copy today, both available in ebook and print. I've got a couple copies myself, and now's the time to start thinking about your goals for 2024. So yeah, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. As always, Eric, great to hang out with you and chat about all things business, and hope you have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks, David.
All right, see you on the next episode.